Welcome. I just finished that other episode, and I want to make a quick little video that won't really be an episode. It'll be a really quick, kind of fun thing. Is I can't decide which guy to get back as no A next season. I was really on the fence, been thinking about for a few days. I got 5 really good candidates, so I actually have even more. You just have all these good 19-year-olds. So we kind of built up for this season, trying to go for the OHL Championship and even a Memorial Cup. So I decided to kind of load up for this age group. And when that happens, you can only have 3 back as OAs for next season. Depth's going to be a big issue next year because we're going to have those elite 17-year-olds back as 18-year-olds and that really good defenseman and some steady players there. But the third and fourth line wingers and centers are going to be pretty weak. We're going to have about 6 players at forward that aren't very developed. So it definitely won't be as well-rounded as this year's team. I'm hoping with how good Brenneman is, though, you can kind of carry the team next season. And Sechenya will be really good on that other line with a really good defensive center. So, anyways, I decided if this guy's an absolute lock to be back as no A, so that's candidate number 1. He's just a beast on the defensive side of things with his offensive game. Just the main output of offense back there, and so important to have a guy like that can get the puck up to those good forwards, put them in a position to score with how talented those guys are. So that's an absolute lock for one spot, I would say. And then the other spot I really want to give to Joe. This one's tough because I wanted to give it to a center. So it's 2 really good 19-year-old centers. We have Devin Kellerman, who's got really, really good stats. He's actually played in the second line for 3 years now as a 17, 18, 19-year-old. I've been building up for this year, and I want to get him chemistry with all those guys around him. So he's come a long way. He was 5'8", 186 when I drafted him or something. So he turned into a 6 foot, 215-pound guy. He's an incredibly well-rounded player. He's got one of the best speed ratings on the team. He's got really good face-offs, positioning, and his offensive game is elite. He's not crazy good defensively other than the positioning, but he's pretty solid, and he's a really good skater. And he's got really solid offensive output here as a third liner for a couple of years, and he's up to, as you can see, he's got about the same minutes, but you can see his point production. It's been really good. He's never been the first line power play, so he's not been in a great position to succeed, so he probably could have been more of like a 70, 80 point guy if I wanted to have him on the first line power play. So he's pretty talented and could have been that guy, but we've had a little bit better options here with a couple loaded teams. So I thought he would be an option. So it's down to him or Joe, and I really like Joe. Joe's a fourth line guy for those 2 seasons, and he's a third line guy now. He's always been a reliable guy. He's been a +6 and a +20, and he has got some incredible defensive ratings. I love his stick checking and positioning. So next year, it's down to those 2 guys to be the second line center, and it's a pretty important position because they're going to be with that big 6'5", 230, 17-year-old winger. So it's they got to be kind of the defensive option, the second line. What I was thinking is Brenneman would be the first line power play guy, the center. So whichever one of these 2 I pick, either Joe or Kellerman, they're going to be super valuable because they're going to be the second line center, getting a ton of minutes. I'll probably give the first and second lines like 18 or 20 minutes each and have those third and fourth lines that are young and weak down to like 10, 12 minutes. So next season's going to be a crazy opportunity. But that second line center will be able to put up like 80 or 90 points, hopefully. And so I had to decide between these 2 guys. And I thought if I'd made Brenneman the first line power play guy, the second line center, Kellerman or Joe, would be able to have crazy minutes just on 5-on-5, and then also probably be able to have number 1 spot on all the penalty kill stuff because they're both such good defensively. Joe is. That's why I think I'm kind of leaning towards Joe here, because then he can be first line penalty kill on the 4-on-5 and the 3-on-5, and then just in a shutdown defensive role in that second line. So I think but he's also really good offensively, so he's able to hold his own with those good offensive wingers. So I think that'll be a good position for Joe, even though it's pretty tough to let a guy like this walk with how good he is. He's got crazy ratings everywhere, and he's just a physical 6'2", 215 hockey player that's crazy speed, and his chemistry and his offensive output over the years. And he's got awesome chemistry with Sechenya, who'd probably be on the line with him next year, and Baker. So anyways, that's a tough call to lose him, but you got to make some tough choices. And the reason I don't want to pick both of those guys, because if you're thinking I could have that defensive player and then those 2 centers, but I really need a winger because winger is by far the weakest position on the team next year. Well, next to center, I guess. That's why I need one of each. Center, I need one of those 2 guys, or else I have a pretty average guy in that second line center. And so anyways, on the wing, it's really close. This is kind of the main reason I want to make this episode real quick, is it's between Kellerman, who has got crazy potential in the OSA's eyes. My scout still has him pretty good. Like a 3-star is still really good, but not quite the elite like NHL potential. The problem with him is he's had crazy injury problems. He's only played 29 games this season, and he's also played pretty much the whole season the last few years, though, which gives him a lot. But and as you can see, it's pretty cool to see his development. He went from -12 to a +19, and played about the same minutes there, and had a really good season last year. And then as a 19-year-old, he's supposed to have a dominant line on the season on the first line this year, but he's had a lot of injury problems. And if you look at his profile, he's all red and orange, which isn't too good. And if you read his scouting profile here, it says weakest part of the game is as much time in the trainer's room here as on the ice, and he's very injury prone, which is pretty shitty. So it's kind of a tough decision. I'd bring him back because he's so elite when he is healthy. He's got such crazy ratings across the board. He's probably my most talented player other than those young studs, just because he's got such good forechecking ability here. I love having that energy guy that's just playing offensive and going down for those pucks to set those top-notch goal scorers up. So anyways, he's a really good energy guy to have in that line. So it's between him for that third spot and Baker. Baker's growing to 6'3", which is cool. He just looks a lot bigger than 6'2". But yeah, he's 6'3", 224, and he's got a really good offensive game. His defense is pretty solid too. He's just not quite as crazy elite as Kellerman is for the OHL. If you remember at Kellerman, I'll compare them in a second, their exact stats. But if you look at Baker, he's just not quite the skater. Kellerman's got all greens and everything. He's like 12, 13, 14, all that stuff. And then Kellerman's got like 12, 13 and hitting and checking, all that stuff too. And a tad higher in a couple more 14s and 13s in these things. But Baker is the model of consistency. He's just played 66, 68, 68. He's on pace for like 62 or 63 games this season. And so he's been as healthy as he can be for 4 straight years. He's had pretty tough roles because the teams have been so good. He's never really had that opportunity to be like that first line guy until this year when Kellerman started getting injured. I think Baker moved up into the first line for a bit. But he's always kind of been more of a third line guy, a little bit of second line, but never really had that opportunity to crazy shine. So his stats haven't been too crazy. He's pretty good season last year, 56 goals, and then this year he's been more of a defensive second line with Kellerman, the other Kellerman, the center Kellerman, same name by the way, and then they're playing with Senchenya. So the second line's been a little more defensive. They haven't put up the production they should be kind of putting up though. So that's a really talented line, and so that was not bad production, but it definitely wasn't quite on the level I thought it'd be. I thought that line would be really nasty and put up like 80 points each. So I don't know why that production isn't quite there. They didn't really have a lot of time in the power play, that second line. I get that first line doing 68% of the time. The second line doesn't get many power play opportunities at all. But still, it's just a little underwhelming. So I wanted to make the decision, those guys. And then I'm still, as an OA, I'm passing up on Hickey, who could have been an OA, which I was kind of playing for a couple years ago because he's such a big, nice physical presence at 6'6", 212, but he's not nearly on the level of those forwards who are all like 13 rated first line type forwards. So I just don't think you can pick Hickey over them, even though I really like Hickey. I just have a lot of defensemen that are similar to him. Sean Angelo is already pretty much better, and then Joseph. So I only really need those two guys on the left side. And Joseph's going to be a really nice 19-year-old next year. And then on the other opportunities, Galbraith's going to probably walk. He'd be a nice OA for somebody, a nice physical, big 20-year-old, 6'6", 220 OA defenseman. So that'll be a couple. So the opportunity I have is to trade these guys for some really nice picks after the season there, because these guys would be valuable assets for a young team that didn't have a lot of good OAs. In real life, they would definitely bring back some assets. So they'll all be back in the league. Packard won't be back. He'll be a guy that I obviously won't really consider bringing back because the other guys are so much better. So he'll be another guy like that. And then Wilder will be gone as an OA. And then who's the last 19-year-old here? I guess we got Senchenya will be back, which is awesome. So yeah. So anyways, the big decision is going to be: do we bring back Joe or Kellerman, and then as the center spot, and then for the winger spot, and I forgot to mention both these guys know left and right wing. I trot them both the other side, so they both have that. It's not like one of them has the advantage there. So they're really similar. It's just I think Baker's had a little more consistency, where Kellerman's a bit more of a high-end talent and has a little better offensive output over the years. But it's really close. It's just it is a pretty big difference in the ratings too. He's already up to a 14 in some categories, and I think Baker's highest is 11. So it is a 3-point difference, which is pretty significant. But I really do like Baker because he's just a nice defensive. It would be perfect complement to those really good goal scoring guys on that first line, Brenneman, and then I guess was it Senchenya, because then he'd be able to put up a lot of minutes playing with really talented guys and just be kind of that steady third option and kind of like the checking guy as kind of tough decision. So anyways, let me know what you think. I can't really decide. I'll have to make that decision in a couple weeks here in the games, which guys to bring back. It's going to be tough not to let two of those guys go and hopefully get a couple second, third round picks out of it.